Well, let me introduce myself. My name is Patricio Navarro. I already thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here with you, and I would like to share some of the experience that we have in the field of architectural visualization. That is basically architecture, real estate, and engineering. So I was thinking a lot about about this presentation. Let me ask you something. How many of you are currently working for architectural projects or real estate? Please raise your hand. Very few. Okay, so it's going to be a presentation from another world. So here we are. We started with my brother, Gonzalo. A long time ago. I'm happy that I'm the second older after the presentation that I saw from Luca. I feel that is the first time that I'm not the oldest. So we have been in this industry for 25 years. And we produced our first rendering in 1991 in Argentina. We were the first visualization firm. In Argentina, we started to do the renderings, and we used to have the situation that everybody said, well, computer graphics is like pushing a button and you will get the image. But it's not like that. We did a lot of things along the way. And here we are, 25 years later, here in Venice. So what you see right now in the meantime is the first real time that we created 20 years ago, 21. So that was the quality that we have. It was a VRML, a very old, I don't know if he knows what is that. It's a very old format for virtual reality. In fact, this was used by Intel Corporation as the official demo for Pentium 3. Okay, so a long time. So currently, our company do a lot of renderings, around 1,000 a year, 1 hour and a half hour animation a year, and roughly we did around 100 projects of virtual reality for real estate. So currently, most of the experience that I'm going to bring today is coming from some of the projects that we are currently working. We are actually doing some presentations for the World Cup Qatar 2022. We are actually working in the redesign of Times Square. So big projects, the tallest building in the United States. So that is the experience that we are having from luxury projects and high-end projects all over the world. So all this presentation is basically oriented to our primary client, that is basically developers and real estate brokers and large architectural firms. So basically, we started to develop virtual reality for a long time ago. As you could see, the first real time that we created 21 years ago. And we are not here for the money. As you could see, all these statistics that we got from internet, okay, I don't know how realistic it is. It's because we are here doing this because it's our passion. And we love what we do, and we love to learn every day and be challenged by situations. But the fact is that we need to survive. And basically, our mission is to help our clients to sell. If our clients who paid the bill for ourselves cannot get a return, okay, it's going to be complicated. If someone hire ARX, it's because they would like to sell faster, better, and in a more efficient way. If we cannot do that, everything is useless. So keep that in mind along the whole presentation, because this is not like we are testing solutions. It's basically we have a purpose, a very clear purpose. We are a service in this case. So I would like to share in this presentation something that is probably difficult to find on a YouTube video, that a lot of tutorials and real projects. I try to program this presentation basically oriented from the hard lessons that we learned along the way. some of the things that when we try to implement something, we've discovered a new situation, that it was not present. So here we are, and let's start with the beginning. The first problem that we used to have, every time that we have a new presentation or pitching a client, is let's put a code. I don't know. There's a lot of confusion in our market, in our industry. What is augmented reality, virtual reality, mixed reality? Many people are actually talking about this, and the clients used to confuse. So one of the first things that we tried to do is that, okay, let's try to set up a common language. Let's speak in the same language, because otherwise it's going to be complicated. HoloLens is not like HTC Vive. It's a different thing. So we try to split, and now this beautiful word that represents what we call a mix. So in any case, we try to keep this very clear. I don't know if this is a very technical presentation, but it's the way that we try to settle a communication with our client. So traditionally, a long time ago, life was easier for augmented reality. It was two types, basically, based on trackers and based on geolocation. It was the primary situation, okay, for augmented reality. But suddenly, okay, as trackers, I guess that you already know, is some of the images, the previous presentation, some references of tracking points, okay, and geolocation, the very well-known Pokemon Go is a geolocation. But there's a mix of hybrid solutions. I used to call hybrid because are not exactly the same, are using not only one sensor, it's a bunch of sensors, there's an image recognition, there's a certain treatment that it's a little blurry. So currently the solutions that we have been working on is ARKit from Apple, Arcore from Google, and Vuforia. Each one is a different thing for us. Well, probably Arcore and Kit are more common. There's a couple of things that why we use Vuforia, and we'll explain you later. But in general, these are the solutions that we are currently providing, and this is augmented reality for all the services that are not head-mounted display. This is the distinction that we use, okay? So everything that is using an iPhone, a tablet, is AR. If this is in front of me, this is not AR anymore. Because glasses, headsets are going to be a little bit more complicated for someone who is not a technical person. So whatever is not head-mounted display, for us is augmented reality. At the same time, we said when we have something that is head-mounted display or is projecting close to my eyes, we call mixed reality. Again, it's not nice, but it's quite efficient. It's simple. We provided solutions for HoloLens, Quadri, and Meta. That are the ones that we have available right now. We are in the queue line. We were contacted by Magic Leap to do some tests. At the moment, we don't have the Magic Leap, so don't worry, don't ask. Otherwise, I'm going to have 200 questions regarding to Magic Leap, but no, we don't have Magic Leap yet. But yes, we did a lot of tests with these solutions. So, and basically, we split virtual reality. Last year in Venice, here I did another presentation, and we used a different classification for virtual reality. This is the one that I like more right now, that is basically smartphone-based. We call rotational, that is basically the possibility to rotate, but you are fixed on the space. Simple. From Google Cardboard to Gear VR. But the fact is that there is one type. There's another that is Oculus, HTC, blah, blah, blah. That is for us third. Basically, it's a wire. It's wire. And if you don't like wire and you don't want to have a telephone, okay, the standalone version. Nowadays, everything is trying to go into the standalone version. Okay, so this is basically the classification that we use, and for us it has been very helpful because it split bananas, okay, peaches, tomatoes and kiwis. So currently, as you know, there's a lot of hardware coming. We counted almost 30 new devices were announced in the last 3 months. So a lot of hardware is coming in, and honestly, we didn't have the chance to test all of them. We tested some of them. The Vive receptor, it's looked like the Shrek ears, quite impressive. Has been presented a few weeks ago, in fact. But anyway, this is a new technology, and this is going to be over and over and over every certain period of time. So that is the first thing. The second lesson is probably the most powerful for someone who is in our industry, and probably it's going to be brand new for someone who is not belonging. Again, the main purpose of what we do is basically to help someone to communicate a better idea, or to communicate, okay, or sell a product or something. So when we started, we applied for AR projects, and we split this in 2 different fields. We have requirements for a very low scale, like a scale model. In that case, the outcome was, from the technical perspective, it was pretty good, simple, straightforward, no complication. But that was one of the things, that it was the technical approach. From the user experience said, well, this is good, nice, some wow factor, but they never opened the application more than 2 times. So basically, for someone who is trying to sell an apartment, for example, that is worth $2 million, if they see this apartment floating as a scale model, do you really think that it's going to make a decision based on that? Not at all. So some tools that are good for other industries, in our industry, are not working very well. In fact, the big majority are not working very well. So from the client's perspective, these solutions, especially when you're working with a certain high-end niche, is that basically they said, I don't want to spend the money in something like this because it's going to be nice, but it's not helping me at the end to sell my project or to sell for 1 additional coin. So this is the outcome of our industry. But at the same time, we have very good requests, and very formal, for large-scale projects. Not something that, in fact, when I saw Luca's presentation, he had a house, and we have that request. But there was huge amount of problems. In fact, we detected that all the solutions, our kit, our core, are working very well in a small scale. But when you are doing this in a large scale, the technology is starting to struggle. In fact, the request that we have, it was for someone who tried to sell the idea to the community, and they tried to put the building in context for all the general public, so everyone will be able to download the application and verify from any angle what was the visual impact of that building. In that case, we require a precision of less than ½ meter for a tower. That was a huge, huge problem. Because it's not approximately. It should be absolutely perfect. And in fact, not from one single location. We use markers, we use geolocation, we use magnetic fields. Nothing worked. It was quite complicated, and because the technology at this point for the kind of service that we need in those cases is not ready. Or if there's someone who knows how to do that, I can be your client, okay? Because definitely right now it's really complicated to bring. We have another request, for example, from one of the cities in order to put the Christmas market on a plaza and change the layout on site. So the possibility for someone to walk around in the virtual market, like it's looking through another dimension, but without moving the booth. That believe me, you can see some videos on YouTube that is showing this, but believe me, when you try to put it on site and put some markers in order to identify that the geometry is not moving forward or backward, it's extremely, extremely complicated. So that is where we are. It can be an extremely good decision tool, and from the client's perspective, it worth the money. But unfortunately, for us, it's extremely difficult to deliver. So size really matter, okay? So in this case, we did a lot of research in mixed reality. We work with HoloLens and Meta too, and I don't want to go too deep into this. I will answer the questions if you would like to. Basically, from the technical perspective, HoloLens has been a very good position tracking, good memory. Okay, the interface was not as hard as Meta 2. Meta 2 is the tracking position system of Meta 2 is the worst ever, quite complicated, extremely difficult to handle, a completely mess currently with so many limitations. We technically, with this courage to the use of Meta 2, and the Meta 2 is somewhere in the office currently. We are not using Meta 2. The results has been very poor. Of course, from the user experience, HoloLens, there's a big problem. It set up a very high level of expectation. But when you have a high level of expectation and you see those videos with all the Minecraft in your table, and suddenly they said, oh, I want it. This is what I want. This is what I would like to. This is how we are going to present the project. But suddenly said, hold on one second. Put the HoloLens first, because the field of view is going to be like seeing the real world through a very tiny window. And it's going to kill the immersion. That is a major problem, because the level of expectation has been set up in here, and when you deliver, said, why I see this? I need to look this wider. Well, unfortunately, the field of view is quite limited. That is why we went into Meta. That is almost 90 degrees field of view. That is the widest, but it's wider, tracking position. So the outcome is, it's not ready yet for our industry. Every time that a client comes to us, and we spend a lot because we have more than HoloLens, 3,000 and a couple of Meta, unfortunately has been tested and didn't pass the quality that we set for our industry. So currently we are not delivering, but is definitely the future of our industry. So, well, it killed me. So basically, we started to do some real-time through smartphones and tablets and said, wow, this is amazing. This is really cool. Let's put some apartments. And suddenly the client said, hey, this is like a game. This is like a very old, it's like a Doom. Well, someone who tried to sell real estate for $2.5 million doesn't want to be matched or compare as a Doom. And that is a major problem, because we were super excited from the technical perspective. That was a huge advance for us. We did one application in Unreal, on an iPhone, on Unity, with a lot of realism. We were super happy, super excited, and the client said, I don't care, this is not working for us. So sometimes it's complicated, because you spend a lot, you are super happy, but basically you forgot what was the purpose of what you did. So it came the era of Oculus Rift and HTC Vive. Last week was Cannes, MIPIM, the largest congress in the world for real estate. All decision makers used to be there. We counted probably 25 different Oculus Rift and HTC Vive in each booth. Well, I think that from the technical perspective, it was quite good. And I would like to spend a little bit more time on this, because this is quite important, because it's a game changer. The situation was that a lot of people have it there, but we counted that probably 70% were delivering less than 45 frames per second. That is, for someone who is testing this, 45 frames per second is killing you. It's going to be difficult to keep for more than a minute without vomiting. It was quite difficult. So a lot of people are using, but they are using because it's cool. But as a tool itself, it's quite poor in the way that many companies are delivering this. So, but they said, well, I would like to not have the cable. It's annoying. I don't like. I would like to, can we do it in a large scale? Well, technology is going into that point. Of course, it's a great decision tool. And it's a great decision tool, and it's the good thing and the bad thing. What had happened to us? 3 projects in the last 2 months has been suspended for doing this. And why? Well, because someone who is paying a big ticket for a very, very high-end real-time for an immersive, in this case, of course, is expecting to sell better his super good product. But the problem is that real-time is so realistic that it's bringing all the strengths and all the weaknesses. And when someone, it happened to us 2 weeks ago, when someone put this and said he was the owner of the project, a guy with probably a fortune over $1 billion, and said, no, don't, this cannot be like this. Well, it's technically as is. It has been built from Revit. No, this cannot be like this. This is disgusting. Well, it was not a technical discussion. It was basically the developer was aware that his product was not in the way that he envisioned. And he had some major trouble. 3 times, okay, just happened that the developer stopped the engine and went back to the board and said, architects, come, just change the project. I don't like. Sometimes it's a good way because, of course, at the end, the product will deliver a much better quality, a much better product for the ones who are committed to get that. But not always is the same situation. Sometimes we have some said, we need to start selling. We cannot show this. Okay, switch. Okay, I will pay for, but I won't use it. It's putting under the carpet. So this creates the complication for us that we need to, what it can be the solution if you are doing something that is so realistic that is bringing you the good and the good things and the bad things. Well, basically the strategy is to start thinking in terms of storytelling. How we can put something that is basically without meaningless completely, the possibility to reinforce the strength in a real time. That is a challenge because we are actually using everything hyper-realistic. How we can do that? Well, it's exactly in the same way when you go to a showroom and has been decorated beautifully. It's an emotional aspect. It's not only the level of realism, but in order to get that point, it requires more time that sometimes in our industry is not willing to give it to you. So that is the situation where we are actually dealing in architectural visualization. So what is the other option? 360, it can be, well, from the technical perspective, quite compatible, straightforward with the typical production pipeline. But, well, probably it's a telephone. And suddenly the client said, well, this is really good because I can control exactly what I'm going to show. Setting up the correct location for each 360 allow me to keep enclosed, only focusing on the strength. And for the main purpose, this has been extremely powerful for most of our clients. In fact, currently, probably 90% of our projects in VR has been using the Gear VR. That is not the most technical one, but it's the best that is doing for this. And at the same time, this allows them to keep the pitch, the sales pitch, because again, this is quite important to keep the sense of presence. Again, for all the presentations that we saw early morning, okay, were oriented to the experience itself. So putting the headset was the main purpose of putting that. When someone invites you to put a helmet in the real estate, it's because they try to show you something. It's a tool. It's a communication tool. And as soon as you forget that you are wearing that, better it is. Because otherwise, you will stay focused on the technology side, and you need to stay focused on the product that they are trying to sell or communicate. That is why many clients from ARX are loving this solution. So this is a map of the current situation in our industry based on our experience. So this third thing that I would like to teach you is that, share, sorry. I'm not teaching you anything, I'm sharing with you. Is that we always listen. This is a real-time that we created for Tamberi Ocean Club. It was done at the end of 2014. If you remember, Unreal was released on September 2014, so this was done 4 months after. So it was quite advanced. It has almost 4 years from now, that real time. And it was for a very luxurious property. It's located in Miami, Sunny Isle. And we did the units, the ground level, the 30th floor. So this is the movie that is belonging to the 30th floor. So in this case, we were setting the showroom, that is this part, okay? And we were with all the realtors. And we were starting to train them. And the senior of these realtors, at that time, we used a joystick, said it was a senior person. It was around 10 different realtors. And this guy was the first one. And when he got the joystick, he pushed forward and he crossed the lobby and he fell down into the swimming pool. Believe it or not, he fell into the swimming pool and he couldn't escape from the swimming pool. And he was so nervous about that situation. How can I do it? What can I do? What can I do? This cannot happen to me in a presentation. I said, well, that was the time that we learned that in order to manipulate these kind of things and transform this in a powerful tool, you need to make this, okay, in a way that not require a NASA scientist or a proficiency gamer. So what was the solution that we applied? It was clear that some people, the young people, handled very well. They used Xbox, they did it very well, but suddenly they found that senior person, the most important seniors, couldn't do that. So what we did it? Well, we went back and we created what our internal manual, VR for Dummies. Okay, and this basically, we implemented an automated ride. And what this do is a real time and it's a path. And the path is allowing you to do this and look up like a roller coaster, but of course smooth. So that was the solution, and they use it, and every time that they have a problem, because they starting to lose control, they touch B button, and the ride started, and it was like a 360. So that was a lesson that we learned in the hard way with them, but it was very good. Another important thing is that we discovered that, again, the main purpose of this is sell an idea or sell a real estate. And here we are. The new generation came with all these new maracas. Okay? And that was really good. But suddenly, we were working in a very, very, very important project in Middle East. And we went to Middle East. And what happened? Chang. They cannot put the helmet and keep the maracas. The HCC Vive if they cannot use the control. In fact, if you go backwards, 1/3 of the whole world population is wearing a hat or a kind of hat. And they are not going to pull it out in order to have this meeting. So what are they going to do? They are going to do like this. And the controls are going to be like this. And nothing is going to happen. So we learned it, or a very wealthy person, okay, especially ladies, no, I went, don't touch my hair. I spent $5,000 in this hair, so I'm not going to use that. Okay, so keep it there. So suddenly, we created a beautiful real time that it was absolutely controlless. So what was the situation? In fact, half of the real time that we deliver currently are using this technology, that is the Plan B. Instant transitions, okay? If someone cannot use this, we can allow the option to jump into a Plan B, and what is it going to do? Every time that you focus with your helmet, it's going to count some time, boom, you are going into that position without using any control. And into each station, basically you can walk, you can do whatever you want. Of course, there's going to be some limitations, but you can keep always under control. At the same time, this is a good solution, especially for small spaces, because suddenly the HTC cane, okay, can go through the walls. And of course, if you are trying to sell a $5 million apartment, you cannot go into the walls because it's going to kill completely the immersion, okay? So those are the kind of things that suddenly we were dealing with these high-end clients, and we were thinking in terms of implementing always a Plan B for navigation as well. So as you can see, there's some variations because this is the typical use as a main tool. Someone who pay us a bill is because they are expecting to sell faster, better, and in a better way. In another cases, another thing is that thinking what they need, not in what you would like to sell. Sometimes you are in love with your technology, but that is not the best approach. Suddenly we have a guy who said, well, you know, Gear VR is quite good, it's quite simple, portable, my sales team can go anywhere, okay, and they can do it. But I need to see what they see. And Gear VR, if you connect something, it's going to go in backwards, basically, because it's going to kill part of the beauty. So what we did was to create some tools, and nowadays it's much more sophisticated, that allow us to see what multiple devices can run at the same time in one single interface. So it's a multi-user platform that allows us to mirror all the different devices into one meeting. Now, suddenly, all the meeting is collaborative. So that is a very powerful tool, and that is why so many clients like this. Another cases we have is that we have a situation that the client said, well, I like this resolution is quite high, it's beautiful, but it's frozen. How can I bring movement into a 360 and say, well, we can do a movie. We did a movie, and of course the resolution of a movie is lower, so it's too pixelated. How we can solve the problem of having something that is, for example, a cubic map is 18,000 pixels by 1,500. So it's a quite high resolution image. So what we did was this one. What if we put the palm trees in a video that is going to be an spherical, and we blend with a cubic map, and we create like this. And suddenly we have in the foreground, from the same position, it was two objects living on the same space, the cubic map and the spherical map. And that was something that suddenly we have the palm trees with the good resolution of the background that it was the cubical map. That was really, really good because, of course, it requires some post-production, but it's very good in terms of proportion. So that was the solution. Sometimes you need to develop your own tools because if you are going to make corrections, okay, the clients would like to mark up. So we created a tool that it was online and the client can upload and put comments on 360s or in real time. So basically we developed a tool. So these kind of things that suddenly are required when you need to do something really good in terms of communication. So finally, typical question from our industry is that, well, are we selling a product or are we selling a service? The chicken and the egg. Well, for us, it's quite clear. We are providing a service. And why we believe that we provide a service is quite simple. A $1 million project, a multi-million-dollar project, okay, won't be happy if you deliver, okay, here you are, you can download the application, you can install by yourself in your devices, okay, train your team, and good luck. No, they will come and say, no, give me the hardware, give me this, you need to train the team. If something is going back, okay, or something is not going well, I'm going to pick up the phone and you need to be here. And suddenly, you are providing a turnkey solution. A turnkey solution is not a product, it's a service. So, we are starting to include that perception and change for us, completely the way that we approach to our client. Do you want us to compare as a product? We will quote it to you. This is not going to worth the money for you and you will struggle. Okay, my suggestion is that why don't you think this is a service? Because we need to be there every time that there's a problem. Every time that you need to change or update your sales team, we will need to be there. So the approach is quite different in this case. And this is probably the most important concept that resumed all what we saw previously, and we call the grandmother test. What does it mean? The grandmother test, in fact, we tested, and it's real, okay? We tried to get the most difficult person that you can imagine. Okay, I don't know. It can be your grandmother, it can be your own mother, it can be the guy who, I don't know, the cooker, whatever. Bring them, put the headset, and try to ask him, okay, this is a very advanced solution, try to make it work. In our industry, the tolerance for someone who is, again, is a buyer, or is a king, or is a president who is testing the solution, the level of tolerance is measured in seconds. So it means that if the solution is outstanding, but it requires a learning curve that is so high, basically nobody's going to see it. In our experience, more than 30 seconds, you are going to be out. No, do you know, I cannot see, I forgot my glasses, because they don't want to be ridiculous. So basically, what we do is must pass the test, and in 15 seconds, no matter how complex is the solution, the person should be able to use it from the beginning to the end with all the features inside. If that person can do it, is ready to go. Otherwise, let's go backward. That was the tricky part, and we call the grandmother test because always we test this. And at the end, you deliver an outstanding user experience that, from our perspective, is the crucial thing. So, better results are more clients, and we would like to have repetitive clients. So basically, that is what we do every day that we have an approach for a virtual reality project. So the last thing is that I would like to introduce, and this is what how do we see with all this technology coming to town, our industry in the future. Future is 1, 3, 5, 10 years. And we have a special advisor. This advisor, okay, is basically we learn a lot, and we try to track every single thing. We purchase a lot of hardware. We didn't invest, okay, of course, and with our capabilities, okay? But we invested a lot in hardware, software. We have our research and development team in-house. And there's 3 things that are going to change our industry. First, all the headsets. It's the 4th wave coming in. As you can see, this is like an exponential curve. It's not linear as is showing this from Digital Capital, but it's actually growing a lot, and it's going to change completely. So headsets are going to change completely one of the dimensions. The second has been presented the other day, and it was the other major component that is going to change our industry forever. That is the incorporation of 5G, okay, communication. It's not only that it's going to be much faster, it's going to be very in the range that the latency, that is the time that 1 bit is coming from you to the server and is coming backward. Okay, so go back and return. That is the latency time. Currently, the latency is in 50 milliseconds. Okay, in virtual reality, you need to have at least 20 milliseconds. So it means that the current communication is not allowing you to have very good experiences in virtual reality. In fact, we tested with a lot of real time, okay? And currently, with this, we'll allow soon to stream VR solutions without installing anything. That is going to change completely. We need to install. It's going to be on a web-based solution, each application. That is a major change. The whole component of installation, setup, is going to change completely. And the third is going to be the artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, in the last 4 months, two companies came to us and said, well, guys, are you interested to develop with us artificial intelligence for architectural visualization? Uh-oh. So, in fact, one of these guys has a very good, and I believe that he will be able to do it, the possibility that from a Revit model, that is basically the standard format that every architectural firm deliver, okay? Basically, you can put an image, and the whole system will match the lighting condition, the light conditions, the shadows, everything, and basically it's going to map. So what is going to be the situation for some of the architectural visualization firms, if that is happening in the near future? So finally, this is the last thing, okay? This is a Qualcomm headset. It's a concept, but in the near future, this, like Oakley's glasses, might be transparent for a virtual reality solution and completely transparent for a mixed reality solution. If that is happening, what is going to happen with these devices? For some of you who tested HoloLens, okay, if you have the possibility to have something lighter with a higher field of view, you won't buy any other TV. You don't need it. Why are you going to keep your emails on this screen if you can have it in an IMAX screen? So iPhone celebrated 10 years a year and a half ago, but I don't think that it's going to celebrate probably 20 years. So if something like this can be affected, okay, what is going to happen with our industry? Well, basically, some of our industry is going to suffer a lot. Matte painters, for example, are going to need to reconvert their business. For some others, this is going to grow. It's going to be an opportunity. It's going to be a much more robust and more solid as a market. Integration, one single file that you can pull all the deliverables on a website, okay? It's going to transform all websites in marketing tools and sales offices. So anyway, this is what I would like to share to you. Thank you so much for your attention.